The two bills that I'm going to speak about tonight are NJA 4497 and the first reprint of New Jersey S2703. And those are just mirror image bills in our Assembly and our Senate, respectively. It's the same content. The name of those bills is the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory and Expungement Aid Modernization Act. This forum tonight is not specifically a debate on whether recreational adult use of cannabis should or should not be legal. Rather, this forum is focused on what effect it would have on our township when and if that legislation is passed, as it currently stands.
So we're here tonight at the Community Arts Center. We had a great program put on by the Drug and Alcohol Alliance here in East Brunswick that's chaired by Jennifer Stetson from our Department of Recreation. And I want to talk a little bit about the subject matter for tonight and a little bit about what the content was.
Okay.
Sure.
So tonight we were discussing the pros and cons of having an ordinance in East Brunswick with relation to the sale of recreational marijuana. We were trying to look at the, again, what the positive effects and what the negative effects on East Brunswick could possibly be, and then kind of see, look at everything objectively and see where we're at.
If you're wondering about state tax rates, we're not going to talk about that. The medical aspects, not going to discuss that. How it's going to affect the criminal justice system and social justice issues, not going to discuss that. What we will talk about are, again, the zoning issues and taxation and things from there. And then we will take, if people have questions, you'll come up. So what the state law probably look like is no home grow. So some of you are thinking, well, I'll grow my own marijuana. There's no home grow marijuana. That is going to be something that you have to have a business license to do. It's legal to smoke in your own home. As was mentioned, you can't smoke in public. You have to be 21 or over, and towns must opt out. So, East Brunswick had 253 adults and 35 juveniles arrested in 2017 for possession. Those numbers went down in 2018 to 176 adults and 20 juveniles. Now, it's only 2 data points. I really need to have about 8 data points to see, is there a trend going on here? Are less people using? Are the police less interested in enforcing? Are the people that are using not using as much in public or being smart about it? I don't know. We need to see more data points. But with 2, we're trending down. With sale of marijuana, 21 people arrested in East Brunswick for selling marijuana in 2017. That number dropped by a third to 14 last year. So let's take a look at some photographs. One of the things that's going to come up is signage. So when we think about where the marijuana, so if you are pro, there's a difference in language. If you are for the sale of marijuana in a particular municipality, you're going to say medical dispensary, a marijuana dispensary. If you are against it, you'll use the term pot shop. I will use them both interchangeably, just so I can play both sides of them. But one of the questions that comes up is, what are these dispensaries or pot shops allowed to look like? How big is the sign? Is there something that shoots off outside of the awning? Can it be very, very big on the window, or does it have to be smaller? Will it differ according to where they're put? These might seem like minor questions, but it's a very, very big deal for business owners. This is November 2018. This is from the Boston Globe. Residents of Leicester were Well, I'll just read it. It's not fair. Leicester residents pummeled by traffic, air complaints over pot shop problems. We have no life there anymore, one resident said. December from 2018, also from the Boston Globe. For pot shop opponents, Leicester's traffic nightmare is a gift. So people pushed for the legalization passed. They were going to sell it in their town. It was sold in their town. And business owners that were next to the store that opened complained about it. People complained about the amount of smoke, the amount of foot traffic, the amount of auto traffic. So what are the East Brunswick tax possibilities? If $2 million of marijuana is sold in East Brunswick at a 2% rate, you're looking at $40,000 in revenue. If we get the magic 5%, which the state Senate president said is not going to happen, but if we did get it for $2 million of sales, it's $100,000 in municipal revenue. Now, let's shoot the moon and say $10 million of marijuana is sold in East Brunswick. That would be 1/30th of all projected sales. So East Brunswick would be really marijuana mecca if that were to be the case. Like, you sold a lot of weed here. Now, the 2% rate, you're looking at $200,000. If the 5% rate, which you said is not going to happen, but again, all things are negotiable, could be $500,000. Now, there's additional issues here. Marijuana is mostly a cash business. Now, I do not want anyone to admit about the taxes they've paid if you were ever a waitress, a waiter, or a bartender, working in a business where, did you report all your tips? Don't answer. I'll be obligated to deal with that. So, not really, I'm just joking. But the idea is most people do not report every single thing they get in cash. So, if there's $10 million of marijuana sales, how much gets actually reported? Other questions that we need to think about. Again, to remind us of East Brunswick expenses, the general budget is $65.6 million. The township spends $570,000 in gas, $89,000 on propane, $322,000 on the electric bill. The roads cost to maintain, just the municipal roads, not the county roads, not the state roads, just the municipal roads cost $2.7 million. If you sell $10 million of marijuana at a 5% tax rate, you'll get $500,000. So that's the money you're looking at. But let's look at other areas. Bayfield, Colorado, they put a ban in place in 2018. Then they wanted to study, and they looked at 18 scenarios. Of the 11, they found they made money. 7, they found they lost money. They found that the only way they made money is if they had a 3% tax rate. In the town of Durango, California,
Colorado.
Oh, sorry, thank you, Colorado. Business owners and officials in Durango, Colorado testified that the resort town, quote, suddenly became a haven for recreational pot users, drawing in transients, panhandlers, and large numbers of homeless drug addicts. Now, I'm getting these different sorts, so I've collected data from 2 completely different sides. There's one group called SAM, which is a smart application of marijuana. This is from their 2018 report. They are very much against the legalization of recreational cannabis. They are for the decriminalization, but they're against legalization. Some of the other reports I've taken from are directly from a group that works on the legalization in Colorado and other states. And so that's why there might feel like a slant to something like this. I want you to be very aware of where the information is coming from on either side. Durango, Colorado has a sales tax revenue, got $900,000, including, now that's not, they got sales tax revenue of $987,000. 1.5% was their tax rate, and so they ended up with their sales tax revenue for that $1 million of sales ended up being about $8,700. They made another $50,000 in licensing. Municipal crime. Colorado found that a study funded by the National Institute of Health, that's out of DC, showed that the density of marijuana dispensaries was linked to increased property crimes in nearby areas. This is opioid deaths in the state of Colorado, and one of the arguments about marijuana, which again, it's a state issue, it's not a municipal issue, but I was asked by the organizers to talk about marijuana instead of opioids, was that the argument was in Colorado from 1 year of data that it went down, opioid deaths went down a little bit, but in fact, it's a manipulation of the numbers. Here are the opioid deaths in Colorado, and the opioid deaths have steadily increased. We have the ballot passes in 2012, there were 377 people that died from opiates in Colorado. In 2014, the first year of recreational legalized cannabis, 468 people died. The next year, 472, the next year, 504, the next year, 536. But again, that's deaths. That may not be pain management. We don't have enough studies. There aren't good American studies yet. There's Australian studies. People don't want to hear them.
I think that one of the big points tonight was that we weren't going to be touching on a lot of the controversial issues that are being decided in the state right now as it relates to issues of social justice, issues related to how much money the state's going to make on it. We were really trying to hone in on exactly how recreational marijuana would benefit or hurt the community of East Brunswick. And the data that was being given by our experts tonight really looked at towns in other areas of the country that already have legalized marijuana and try to see how towns that are most similar to East Brunswick fared under the same type of circumstance. And I think it was very engaging. I think a lot of the people in the audience found it very useful information, and it was I think a pretty good turnout. Don't you think?
I agree. I thought it was a great turnout. And I think that everybody who came was happy they came, and we had a lot of great questions. So,
yeah, we tried to set it up where the speakers provided data first, and then we actually had individuals from the audience write down their questions, and those questions were polled so that they and sifted, so we made sure they stuck particularly to issues related to East Brunswick. And all in all, plus we had food. That always brings people out.
yes, lots of food.
Yeah, and so I think it was a great program, and again, another great effort on the part of this organization, which was also, by the way, sponsored by the East Brunswick Elks, who helped provide the funding to help put this together, so a hearty thank you to them. But again, programming that's interactive and allows the community to really get something really positive and a learning experience out of this very important topic.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.